Khamzat Chimaev versus the current top 15 ranked UFC middleweights after Dana White announced that Renaud will be fighting Fluffy Hernandez, and of course we've got Kaio Borralho versus Imavov. There's a few contenders that are potential for Khamzat Chimaev, so I want to go over the top 15 and see who I think can beat him. Nobody can beat him. Goodbye, everybody. That's the end of the video. No, in all seriousness, I know a lot of you lot will be just saying Khamzat destroys everybody, but I think it's interesting to talk about. So without further ado, let's talk about the categories. If you haven't seen these videos before, destroys Khamzat means they destroy Khamzat. I don't think it's close. Beats Khamzat means I think they would beat Khamzat. I think it'd be competitive, but I would wager their chances of beating Khamzat higher than Khamzat's chances of beating them. High chance means they have a high chance of beating Khamzat. It's close to 50-50, but I'd edge Khamzat Chimaev. Can compete means they can compete in some areas. They can certainly give Khamzat some trouble, but ultimately Khamzat still wins comfortably. And pray for that man means, you guessed it, pray for that man. He has absolutely no chance. So without further ado, just to set the tone for this video is why I've included this one. Israel Adesanya, right? I never have believed this fight would be competitive. Never have believed it. Sometimes I think it's interesting to look at striker versus wrestler matchups and say, well, it's 50-50 because if it stays on the feet, Israel Adesanya dominates. If it goes to the ground, Khamzat Chimaev dominates. Israel Adesanya is so helpless on the ground with Khamzat Chimaev. And if you actually look at where Israel Adesanya specialises in takedown defence, which is up against the fence, using hooks, trying to get out with his long limbs, pressed up against the fence, is where Israel Adesanya has shown really good takedown defence. Where he doesn't show really good takedown defence is in the centre of the octagon. That's where you can take him down pretty easily. And that's when he'll do things like give his back or not really have the best guard. He is a capable grappler, Adesanya, but there's levels. And the level that he is on, especially at the age that he's at now, where he's not even in his prime, for me, Khamzat Chimaev would run through him. And he always would have. It's just styles make fights, but just to set the tone for the video, because I know there's a lot of Adesanya fans, that's not coming from a place of hate. It's not that I don't like Izzy, but stylistically, Khamzat Chimaev is terrible for him and he would probably smash him inside one round. Dricus du Plessis, pray for that man, borderlining on can compete. Yeah, I know he got 1080 3 or 4 times, but I'd put him in prayer for that man for that reason. Obviously, Khamzat didn't get the finish. He wasn't really close to either. He fought very dominantly. Dricus stayed defensive the whole fight, couldn't really get going. He didn't really risk many explosions. He looked really tentative on the feet, of course, for as long as it stayed there. Yeah, Dricus couldn't even stop Khamzat, even when he knew he was going to shoot in. So many times, Dricus did the initial sprawl well, of taking his hips away, landed on top of Khamzat, and Khamzat still powered through him and got the takedown. And the questions with this fight, really, for me were, man, Dricus is so big, though, he could probably easily be a light heavyweight. Like, what if he is just far too big for Khamzat Chimaev? What if he's too athletic? And, man, he wasn't. You know, Khamzat still looked a lot stronger. I know he's got elite-level positioning and stuff like that, but I just think it's crazy how, even as athletic as Dricus is, when he's timing the initial takedown defence and initial sprawl really well, I find it insane how easily Khamzat was still able to take him down. I have to be honest with you. Robert Whittaker, I mean, slightly above Adesanya, but we saw it. I mean, yeah, the weird thing about Robert Whittaker is, I honestly really believed his wrestling was a lot better than it was against Khamzat Chimaev. Because I picked Khamzat to finish him in the second round, and not the first round. I thought it was so much better than that. Even against Renaud, I think it's shown, maybe it wasn't as good as we thought. You know, maybe it's not elite like that. It's very good, but it's not elite level. You know what I mean? It's crazy to see the narrative changes because Renaud, he looked terrified of Renaud's takedown, and Khamzat, he barely moved. He was just waiting for him to shoot, and then Khamzat shot in. He still couldn't stop it. Crazy stuff. We saw the fight. We saw how it went. Yeah, Khamzat destroyed him. He'd do it again. I mean, sometimes it's easy to overcomplicate explanations and how fights would go and stuff like that, but for me, I think this is pretty simple. Robert Whittaker does not beat Khamzat Chimaev. He gets destroyed. Romano and Kopylov. Same again. Romano and Kopylov probably easier than all of them. He's not proven anything at the elite level. He has, of course, got good round kicks to the body. He's, of course, a dangerous striker and he is powerful. He's fought at light heavyweight, but he hasn't shown us anywhere near enough to say that he'd even compete with Khamzat Chimaev. Probably easily get taken down and absolutely battered. You know what I mean? Marvin Vettori. he would get prayed. I don't know if Khamzat would finish him. I definitely could see Vettori surviving for just holding on, just staying safe, stopping Khamzat from getting his back, stopping from getting body triangles, stopping from fishing for hooks, stopping from getting the wrist rides up against the fence. I think Khamzat had struggled to kind of absolutely paste Marvin Vettori and finish him in the first. But I could see Vettori survive it. He could come in there to survive against Khamzat, I bet. Vettori's just a jack of all trades, isn't he? Very good grappler, very good striker. Like, he's just good everywhere. Not elite at anything. The only thing that he has elite is his chin. So, I don't think Khamzat Chimaev knocks him out on the feet. I actually do think Khamzat has far quicker and better boxing. The front kicks on the feet would be a big problem for Marvin Vettori. I think he'd struggle to get past those. And ultimately, yeah, I think it's prayer for that man for Marvin Vettori too. I know, like, this might seem glazed to you all, but I'm just being realistic here. I'd love to say these guys have a competitive fight with him, but they don't. They clearly don't. Jared Cannonier, pray for that man. Again. Now, Cannonier is interesting. He is athletic, not as athletic as he used to be. And I say that because I think he used to be a lot more fast twitch. Like, I'm talking about when he first came to middleweight. But now he's getting really old. You know, his movement has slowed down massively. Far too plodding to deal with Khamzat Chimaev's takedowns. And look, he's not winning the front foot either, so that'll negate Jared Cannonier's best weapons. If he's on the back foot trying to circle with those low calf kicks, I don't think it's going to work because Khamzat might time a double leg off the calf kick. When Jared Cannonier looks to plant and throw, that's when Khamzat's going to get the double leg. So I don't see Jared Cannonier having much success either. Again, I want to say he does. I want to put him up here. I do. I want to put him up there. But I just don't see it, man. I've got to be honest with you all. I just don't. Too plodding. Has power. You know, he's very athletic. Not as athletic as he used to be. He's just getting older. And he has fought at heavyweight, right? He's dealt with bigger guys. Even Gregory Rodriguez. He knows how to weather the storm against big guys who are strong and know how to utilise the strength. But the positioning and just the balance and the athleticism of Khamzat Chimaev would just be too much for him, to be honest with you. And we've seen Jared Cannonier fight at that level several times now. And several times he's proven he's not at that level. And that's just on, I'm just being honest with that one. Michael Venom Page. Yeah, again. It's not good. Look, Michael Venom Page's takedown defence actually looked pretty good against Cannonier. Cannonier does not even close have the athleticism, the speed, the ability to get right under you. You know, Michael Venom Page has really long legs and long limbs. That single leg Khamzat Chimaev is so well known for might be money against MVP. What I think Khamzat might struggle with straight away in the fight is taking MVP down straight away. I think he struggles with that. MVP is not easy to just take down straight away because he moves so well and he's so fluid. Also, on the feet, yes, he's in a lot of trouble, Khamzat. Even more so than with Adesanya because MVP can land a big 1-2 or a big right hand, which I think Khamzat had really struggled to get underneath and go for the takedown. But right away, that is. That's right away in the fight. But here's the difference between the two of them would probably be when Khamzat Chimaev... The difference between the two of them would probably be Khamzat will eventually time a right hand when MVP comes in. Because he's going to have to blitz in and score points eventually, right? He's not going to be able to circle and kick at Khamzat. That's not the game plan MVP's going to be able to do. He's really going to struggle doing that. He's going to have to more or less hold the centre of the octagon. If he gets pressed up against the fence, which he does do quite often, I put him a bit below Adesanya, actually. Because Adesanya's takedown defence is a bit better. His movement might be hard for Khamzat to track down right away. But other than that, Khamzat should really dominate him. Far superior grappler. MVP always gives his back on the ground, always. Ian Gary got it very easily in their fight. Once Khamzat gets it, especially if he's up against the fence. If MVP's moving, like he was against Jared Cannonier, and Khamzat cuts him off, and MVP hesitates with the right hand, and his back's pressed up against the fence, while he's got long limbs, good knees to the body and stuff like that, while he can defend well there, ultimately, Khamzat Chimaev's going to take him down up against the fence and find a quick submission. That's the reality. And I'm English, I love MVP. But again, styles make fights, and these guys on the bottom row, they just don't have the style to compete with Khamzat Chimaev. Roman Dolidze, you guessed it, can compete. Pray for that man. Look, again, the reality around Roman Dolidze is very, very simple. Is Roman Dolidze a capable grappler? Yes. Is Robert Whittaker a capable grappler? Yes. Is Dricus du Plessis a capable grappler? Yes. Offensively. Defensively, Roman Dolidze is not that guy. His get-ups are very simple. They're very simplistic. He has fought at light heavyweight and he looked like a good sized light heavyweight, so he's very strong. But Fluffy, if you go look at the Fluffy fight, he looked a bit bigger than Fluffy. And Fluffy was technical enough to set up the takedowns with feints on the feet. Obviously, Fluffy's a bit more technical than Khamzat on the feet in general. But Khamzat has got quick 1-2s. He's got a good jab. Honestly, Dolidze's got a powerful right overhand, but other than that, and a decent round kick to the body. But other than that, Khamzat could easily outstrike him too, while he's fresh. I just think Roman Dolidze would really struggle against Khamzat. Maybe it wouldn't be a first round finish, but it'd certainly be a first round 10-8. And eventually Khamzat's going to finish Dolidze. Dolidze does get tired too, if you're making him work. That showed against Fluffy. I mean, that was just one-sided, wasn't it? Different fighters, but as capable as Dolidze is offensively on the ground, right? He has good ground and pound and stuff like that. It's the same thing we thought with Dricus. So Dricus is just all around much better than Dolidze. Dolidze on the feet, body kick, right overhand merchant. Not got enough on the feet. Certainly doesn't have enough on the ground. But at least he is big and athletic to be slightly above the others. Brendan Allen. This video might not be as long as I thought, right? Brendan Allen can compete in some areas. Brendan Allen is a good grappler. Brendan Allen does have decent shot selection on the feet. Brendan Allen does have good round kicks to the body. Brendan Allen is long. Brendan Allen has some things that can give Khamzat trouble. Brendan Allen also has a good guard. He's submitted very good grapplers in his own right. Like, Brendan Allen isn't just going to be an absolute demolition job for Khamzat. I think he could sprawl on Khamzat a bit. I think he could keep Khamzat busy from his guard. He's getting taken down and he's not getting the better of Khamzat there, which is why I know I'm never putting him in high chance. I'm just not. But I certainly think he can compete somewhat with Khamzat. I think he gets submitted or ground and pound TKO'd eventually. Or maybe he can make it tricky enough to go 5 rounds with Khamzat. But even on the feet again, Allen defensively is just not there. And once he starts getting tagged a bit, he can kind of shell up and shut down a little bit. Also, in the clinch, as good as he is there, which is where Brendan Allen can specialise, you know, getting trips from the clinch and stuff like that and using a bit of dirty boxing, Khamzat Chimaev's better than him there. Maybe not in the dirty boxing department, but certainly in the clinch. So it's going to be hard for Brendan Allen to get some rest time and pin Khamzat Chimaev up against the fence if he needs it. So because of a lack of a takedown threat for Brendan, his striking will get exposed. And also, I think this time it'd be a very different fight for Brendan Allen because he's going to be the guy trying to defend. He's going to be the guy trying to stay on his feet. Whereas he's going to be the guy trying to stay on his feet and use his striking, which is not better at Khamzat at. And he's also not really going to be looking to initiate any grappling. So while I think Brendan Allen can give Khamzat trouble, I don't think he wins. I think it's a very comfortable win still for Khamzat. Remember, can compete still means comfortable. Sean Strickland. A top end of prey for that man. Borderlining on can compete. Now, Sean Strickland, here's where he comes undone against Khamzat. What does he have over Khamzat that could give Khamzat trouble? If you're just throwing 1-2s and front kicks against Sean Strickland on the feet, you are Sean Strickland's wet dream. You literally are. If you're throwing 1-2s, feint, front kicks on the feet, you are his wet dream. You have to be a lot more sophisticated. You have to be a lot more pressure heavy and you have to be a lot more volume reliant to outstrike Sean Strickland. Even Israel Adesanya, who was coming in with singular shots, feint, leg kick, feint, jab. If you're throwing singular shots at Sean, or 1-2s, or singular front kicks, he will have a field day with you. So on the feet, Khamzat is in big trouble, in the sense that Sean could easily stuff him out. Shoulder rolls, parries, teep kicks, much better striker than Khamzat, and a very composed one too. But Strickland's very easy to take down. He's not easy to keep there. That was shown by Dricus du Plessis. Right? Dricus was able to take Sean Strickland down a few times and Sean showed really good get-ups. But where Sean, even if you look as early as the Kamaru Usman fight, Sean always tries to back up to the fence and build his way back up using the fence. That's Sean Strickland's biggest strength. You have to have a much better guard in the centre of the octagon. I think we'll talk about Renaud de Ridder later to give Khamzat more trouble. Like Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen wouldn't just use the fence to get up. Brendan Allen has a pretty good guard. Brendan Allen has good jiu-jitsu. So does Sean. But Sean backs up to the fence and he uses the fence to get up oftentimes. But he's so tall when he fights and he stands so tall. He's as good as that stance is defensively to deal with Khamzat Chimaev striking. Once Khamzat Chimaev shooting takedowns in on him, it's just hard because his Strickland's so narrow with his stance to get his hips away and get a really big separation and take a big step back to take the momentum out of Khamzat Chimaev's drive in his takedowns. So Khamzat's probably going to take him down quite easily, and he's going to take away Sean Strickland's biggest strength when he is taken down, which is the fence. So on the feet, for sure, it's competitive. If Sean could stop Khamzat's wrestling, theoretically, he actually has a perfect striking style to completely shut out Khamzat. But this is mixed martial arts, styles make fights, and Sean's style does not do well against Khamzat. That's the reality of it. Kaio Borralho can compete, I think. Right? Kaio Borralho also has a good guard. He actually has good submissions. Like, he can attack submissions off his back. Very good in the clinch. Athletic. Powerful. Like Dricus du Plessis, sort of has that striking style that he could drag Khamzat into a war if it starts going his way. And all of a sudden he could turn the tide. But why he's not going in high chance is because I actually don't think Kaio's grappling is still on that level. Brendan Allen's isn't, and neither is Kaio Borralho's. It's still not enough, right? He's powerful, he's fast, he's got a good shot selection, and I think he could compete in areas, maybe stuff one or two of Khamzat's takedowns. But I think Kaio would be a lot more conservative on the feet. He'd be a lot more wary on the feet, and that'd take away his volume a little bit. That'd take away his ability to kind of drag you into a high-paced fight. So I think Khamzat Chimaev would make Kaio Borralho really hesitant on the feet, and I think he'd shut him out with his grappling. You know what I mean? I think he would. I think he'd shut him out with it. And he's experienced Kaio in training before. I know both of them weren't at the best when they trained together, but still, I think it's clear to see that Khamzat was a much better grappler then, and I still think he's a much better grappler now. Renaud de Ridder. Now, I know I'm going to get cut for this. So, I was having a brainstorm the other day, and I was going through, because I knew I was going to make this video, I was thinking to myself at night, man, no one beats Khamzat Chimaev, right? Nobody can stop him. Nobody in this division could do it. And then I thought to myself, what about Renaud de Ridder? And then I laughed. I was like, no way, man. No way. This is what I was thinking in my head. There's no way Renaud de Ridder would beat Khamzat. Right? And then I got to think about it even more. And I was like, but Renaud de Ridder's fought Malakin at heavyweight, so he knows how to deal with strong guys. Extremely long, very unorthodox with his entries, very skilled in the clinch, has very good wrestling. But where Dricus du Plessis, who is also powerful, he's a bit faster than Renaud de Ridder, also has good wrestling. Where Dricus went wrong is that jiu-jitsu, that good guard game. And he makes sloppy decisions on the ground. Whereas Renaud de Ridder doesn't. Right? Now, ever since the GM3 fight where Renaud de Ridder has now really settled well into the UFC, he has shown, actually, he's a very intelligent fighter. His fight against Robert Whittaker, because I know what people will say, but he went to a split decision with an out-of-prime Robert Whittaker. Khamzat Chimaev destroyed Robert Whittaker, he destroyed Renaud de Ridder. Styles make fights. Styles make fights. Right? Styles make fights. Renaud de Ridder has power. Renaud de Ridder showed against Robert Whittaker that he can exploit holes and find openings like the knee to the body. He knows how to prepare well. He knows how to come into fights prepared with the right game plan. Renaud de Ridder would be tough for Khamzat to get a read on. High chance still means I think Khamzat would beat Renaud de Ridder right now. But I think Renaud de Ridder is underrated against Khamzat. Because everybody I see goes, And I had this same view until yesterday. Everybody I see goes, Khamzat destroy Renaud Derrida. And I was like, yeah, he would. But would he? Would he though? Because Renaud Derrida's great at finding openings. He's fought Malakin at heavyweight. I know he lost that fight, but he competed with Malakin there. He's strong. He's ridiculously good in the clinch. And also, Renaud Derrida never loses composure. Never. He never loses composure. So he's not going to be hesitant if Khamzat's taking him down. He's going to welcome it. He's going to attack with elbows off his back. I think Renaud Derrida's a dangerous fight for Khamzat. I don't know if any of you guys are going to agree. I know some of you might be like, but if Khamzat destroyed Rob and Rob went to a close fight with Renaud Derrida, which he arguably won, man, how can you possibly think Derrida beats Khamzat? I'm seeing some weapons from Renaud Derrida. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I don't know, man. Derrida's got a lot of experience fighting big guys, strong guys, very good in the clinch, a good jiu-jitsu guy. And it's interesting for me. It's interesting. Fluffy, he's another one. Fluffy is another one for me. And I'm going to put Fluffy in high chance, slightly above Renaud. For me, Fluffy reminds me of Gegard Mousasi. He's not very powerful. He's not overly fast, but he's a ridiculously technical fighter all around. Very good distance management. Actually got pretty decent head movement, Fluffy. Very good guard. Very good jab, which I think Khamzat would struggle with if it stays on the feet long enough. Fluffy isn't taking Khamzat down, which is why he's not going up here, because I kind of think Fluffy would fall apart there. But Fluffy is well-rounded. He's very skilled. He has a ridiculously good gas tank. He has more than one way of winning. Khamzat Chimaev's one way of winning is to impose himself on you. But Fluffy can get into a scrap. Fluffy can distance strike. Fluffy can grapple. Fluffy can clinch. He's done it all, Fluffy. And he's a very good grappler in his own right. And has a very good guard himself. Probably not as good as Renaud Derrida's off his back. But Fluffy has really high fight IQ for me. Which is why I think gives him the best chance out of everybody to beat Khamzat. But I would never say he destroys Khamzat. I don't think he beat Khamzat. But I think he could make it pretty close. I think he could make it pretty close, to be honest with you. I just don't see it happening. You know, he has weapons that could give Khamzat trouble, but where I think Fluffy would fall apart is Khamzat is going to impose himself on Fluffy. And if Fluffy doesn't have the takedown threat, I think he's striking, relying on his striking solely against Khamzat, I think he'd just lose confidence a little bit, and I think he'd get overwhelmed by Khamzat. But I certainly don't think he'd make it easy. Nassourdine Imavov can compete. Imavov is pretty good. Or would it be prayer for that man, actually? It'd probably be prayer for that man. Yeah, Imavov's not a bad grappler by any stretch of the imagination. He's also very quick with his combinations. Imavov's combination speed and his precision would give Khamzat trouble. But even if you look at, like, let's say Imavov makes Khamzat work, like Renaud Derrida or Fluffy can, or like Brendan Allen and Kaio Borralho could. Let's say he does make Khamzat work. Imavov will fade over the course of 5 rounds, especially if Khamzat's constantly grappling with him. We've seen that before with Imavov. He will fade against Khamzat most likely. And if he doesn't have a conditioning output sort of advantage over Khamzat, I just don't really see him having much of a chance. Certainly not as much as Sean Strickland. He has good takedown defence and he is well-rounded. I just don't see Imavov doing it, to be honest with you. Paulo Costa, more or less the same. He is big, right? Athletic. He is powerful. If he can drag Khamzat into a war, he can for sure win it. That's a big if. Paulo Costa is also really good at, if you take him down, exploding straight back up. His actual scrambles are really good. But he's so good at rolling through with you if you're trying to Granby. He's so good at just keeping a hold of you. His ground and pound's vicious. And we see when Paulo Costa, a fight's not going his way, let's say especially in the first round, he gets dominated in it, he kind of falls apart. That's the reality of Paulo Costa. So I think Khamzat would run through him too. And look, guys, that's it. I'll get it still for you there. That's my list. No one in beats Khamzat. No one in destroys Khamzat. I wish there were, but I just don't see it happening. And it's probably the same with most of you guys. Most of you guys probably put everyone in prayer for that man. But thank you all very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed it. It helps me grow. It helps me out a lot. Thank you all for watching. Adios. Goodbye.